Florida failing its girls. That's according to a new report from the Girl Scouts of America. 23% of girls in the ages of 5 and 17 living in poverty. That is up 16% from about 10 years ago, well above the national average. In fact, Florida is just 39th overall in wellness for girls overall in the nation. One study also found that girls are generally healthier than 10 years ago. However, there's a slight increase in girls with emotional or behavioral and developmental issues. Joining us to talk about this new report and what can be done to fix some of these trends, Mary Ann Jacobs, the CEO of Girl Scouts Gateway Council. Thank you so much for coming on the morning show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I want to start off, if you don't mind, by talking about those emotional, developmental, and other issues that girls are going through. Suicide being one of them. And we did a story yesterday that Melanie worked on, that more girls are considering suicide than ever before. That's terrible to think about young girls having those thoughts.
It is terrible. And I think that, and the results of the survey show us, or the research shows us, that girls are hyper-focused on themselves, and girls are very critical of one another. And because of technology and because of the ease of cyberbullying, girls are finding themselves considering suicide at a greater rate than they have in the past.
So what can Girl Scouts do on that issue to help girls? Because it's something that it's hard to escape in this day and age.
Well, it is. It's very difficult. We start at age 5 and sometimes at age 4 with a program that helps girls understand who they are, what's important to them, how to speak up, and then to get connected to other girls and take action so they become more confident in themselves. We also work with girls from age 5 through 17 in various programs, single gender programs, where girls feel safe, they learn how to speak up, they understand who they are and where they're comfortable and what's important to them.
And you mentioned feeling safe. Florida being one of the highest, 12% increase there for girls not feeling safe at school. And that's the place that you would think they'd almost feel the safest.
Right. I think it goes back to, again, I'm not a sociologist, but I think it goes back to the cyberbullying and the ease and accessibility of technology, and how girls sometimes girls are mean. We see an increase in suicidal rates and suicidal thoughts in 9th grade. Well, take yourself back from making that transition to from middle school to high school.
It's awful.
That's a tough time.
It is.
It's a tough time.
And everything's so public now. So, you know, when we were growing up, you know, somebody may write something in the bathroom mirror or something. Now everything on social media, everyone has access to. So when you bully somebody, you're more humiliated because you have that bigger audience.
Right, and it's immediate. Unfortunately, it's immediate. So if girls aren't feeling confident in themselves, if they don't feel that they're safe and they feel at risk, they're more than likely to do something that we would not consider.
And what can parents do as far as those issues at home?
Well, you know, the research also shows that the families in Florida, the parent structure in Florida are changing, and that's nationally as well. But parents need to be engaged. We as parents, and my children are older, but you are soon to be a parent, we have to be courageous and have difficult conversations with our children. It's not easy to talk about suicide. It's not easy to talk about premarital sex. It's not easy to talk about drug use, but we have to be courageous and have those conversations. And if it's a single parent home, there is a much greater chance of a young lady, a girl, or even a 5-year-old living in poverty. And living in poverty and lower socioeconomic status is another indicator of not being so successful as an adult.
And I do want to touch on that before we wrap things up. I know we have to quickly, but poverty, the rates here in Florida are awful. And I looked up, okay, so what constitutes poverty? It's about $24,000 income for 4 people, you know,
right.
2 adults and 2 children. I have, you know, made that money before, just myself, by myself. And it was a struggle to feed myself and to pay my own bills, much less if I had to worry about 2 children and a spouse.
Exactly. And you know, that's one of the things. 23% of girls live in poverty in Florida. So 23 girls out of every 100 girls is living in poverty. Another indication of how successful they'll be as they become contributing adults. One of the reasons why Girl Scouts is so important. We help girls living in poverty. We serve about 10,000 girls, and 1/3 of the girls that we serve are in a lower socioeconomic status. So every girl can be a Girl Scout, and every girl can break that poverty cycle.
And it's important, especially if, a child is in that situation, to find that safe place and that support group. Maybe the family can't afford certain things, but if they have that group that has their back, that really helps them succeed. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll change those trends. And we are going to post more of this information on our website, newsforjax.com, under the morning show in case you missed some of it. And in fact, you can share it as well and learn more about the Girl Scouts while you're there. Thank you.
Thanks.